So it is our time. Let's start with a quick prayer. Master Jesus, spiritual friends, another Saturday. This time is a sunny Saturday where we are here around Legion's book to learn a bit more, to share our experiences, our questions, our doubts. Be with us to this exercise. So be it.
Amen.
So let me share the book. I guess now you can see the book. Let me just organize my screen here. We are continuing speaking about the hurling of the objects. Today we start from the item 6. Where does the spirit go in search of the objects it utilizes? It almost finds these objects in the place itself or in the vicinity. A force that proceeds from the spirit fling, then through the air, and causes them to fall wherever it wishes. Sensing spontaneous manifestations are often allowed and even caused for the purpose of convincing disbelievers. It seems to us that if some of these individuals were themselves their target, they would be forced to yield to the evidence. People often complain of not having witnessed conclusive facts. Wouldn't it depend on the spirits to provide them with appreciable proof? Don't atheists and materialists witness at every moment the effects of the power of God and of thought? But this does not prevent them from denying God and the soul. Very interesting, isn't it? He is using the example of atheists and materialists, but that goes to anyone. Anyone believes in what they want to believe, and that's it. Doesn't matter if they have proof or not. Doesn't matter if it's so clear in front of them. Doesn't matter. Because they are not prepared to consider anything else. Did the miracles of Jesus convert all his contemporaries? Didn't the Pharisees who said to him, Master, show us a sign, resemble those who today ask you to show them manifestations? If they fail to be convinced by the marvels of creation, they will be no more affected by the appearance of spirits, even if they appear in the most obvious manner, because this individual's pride has transformed them into stubborn mutes. They would have plenty of opportunities to witness them if they sought such opportunities in good faith. That is why God does not deem it appropriate to do more for them than what God has already done for those who sincerely seek to educate themselves, because God only rewards persons of goodwill. Again, very interesting, this topic, isn't it? You start to relate this topic to atheist and materialist. And now he opened he broadened the specs, saying like anyone, he will not give more consideration to one or to another. So even God himself will not consider to give more information to someone A instead of B. Or, in a different word, he's not contemplating to give more information to those that have goodwill, open heart, open mind, than to those that do not. This belief will not impede the fulfillment of the divine will. Actually, none of us, nothing we can think, will be able to stop what has planned, what will come, what is there. None of us. And we see that on the Spiritist meeting. How often those who profess a different religion or a different philosophy come to our meetings saying, well, let's say someone that was a Christian, well, I don't believe because in my church they said this. I said, well, that's fine. That's fine, but it doesn't matter. You are here with us. So what do you take from there? Are you telling me that you not see what your eyes are seeing? You're not there? You know, this type of thing is, to me, something is very clear. The day we pass, we'll see what is there. If nothingness is reality, we won't see anything. But if there is something, will be in front of us. We won't be able to deny, perhaps realize that the time we have wasted or the opportunities we have wasted, and so be it. They disbelieve will not impede the fulfillment of the divine will. You have already seen that it has not hindered the expansion of the doctrine. So do not concern yourselves with the opposition, which is to the doctrine what a shadow is to a painting. It lends it greater relief. What would be their merit if they had to be convinced by force? I never had the experience seeing someone being convinced by force. Right? I've seen someone being convinced by the consequences of their choices, the results of what they did, and then was hard to say otherwise. But I never saw that. By force, no. You cannot force anyone to believe on anything. You have already seen that it has not hindered the expansion of the doctrine. Why I'm reading that again? How many people were against the Spiritism during Kardec's time? I bet we had quite a few. How many people are against today? I also believe there are quite a few. So 200 years pass and we're still moving. If something is to happen, will happen, regardless of what a group of people think or wanted. Doesn't matter. It will happen. You know? And when we see things happening in 2, 3, 4 different places, and those places are not even connected, but the thing are happening anyway, you must have an organization behind, call as you wish, but you will not prevent something to happen. I'll give you here an example, right? Now speaking about our fellow spiritists that do not believe it's possible to have virtual mediumship meetings. Yes, they can do whatever they want to do, to say it's not safe, it's not this, it's not that, but it's happening. It's happening here, Japan, in so many different places, so many different groups that every 6 months we hear more groups doing more and more, groups that we never heard before. So this is, to a certain extent, an example of the universality of the teachings of the spirits, where they bring the information. Doesn't matter where, whom, the information will come. God leaves to them the responsibility for their own stubbornness, and this responsibility is heavier than you might think. Fortunate are those who believe without having seen, said Jesus, because they do not doubt the power of God. Right? We had in our leadership meetings spirits that came professing the Muslim culture, right? The Muslim religion. They refer to Allah. I bet all the people, all the beliefs will refer to a different name. Doesn't matter. If we assume that everything that we have in our planet, I'm not gonna go even beyond that. In our planet, that everything happened by an accident, it's hard to justify an accident, bringing to us the gravity, water, air, all the gases we have, materials, animals, our capacity, our ability to elaborate thoughts, to help, to have emotions. If all of that is an accident, my God, that's a massive accident. That is a huge accident, you know? And then there's a more complicated accident of all. Only us on Earth, we have that. What are the odds that, knowing now those billions of stars surrounded by billions, trillions of planets, is all there by accident? It's hard. It's very hard to, well, I think it's hard. Do you think it would be appropriate to evoke that spirit in order to ask it for few explanations? Evoke it if you want to, but it is not a low order, and it is of a low order, and its answers will be quite insignificant. It's not because we die, we became a spirit, that we possess all the knowledge about everything. Spiritual world is a mirror, or we are a mirror of the spiritual world. And we do have people with different knowledge, capacity, understanding on both sides. Sometimes you're going to ask other spirit about something, he or she, because I don't call spirits it, as you can see in the book. To me, they are human beings, not things. They don't know. Let's assume I am a mechanic. When I passed away, I'm still a mechanic. If you ask me mechanic questions, we have a good possibility that I will remember and be able to answer you. But if you ask me something about the quantum physics, it's better ask for another spirit, because I have no idea what you'll be talking about, you know? So it's better that you wait Munir to go, and then you ask Munir on the other side. Because me, forget about it. I don't know anything about it. I would like to speak a bit about evocation. Nowadays, we do not evoke very often. There are places, there are a massive resistance to evoke a spirit. I don't have any problem doing so, providing we have the control measures or the safety measures in place to allow us to do something with positive results and serious objectives. Otherwise, I do not see a point. And even though if we do evoke, we have no guarantees that the spirit that will be giving an answer, if a spirit gives an answer, that is the spirit you may think. Conversation with troublesome Noyer street spirit. 1. Evocation. Why did you call me? Do you want me to throw some stones at you? Then you would see you skedaddle. I don't know how to say that word. It's skedaddle. I don't even know what it means. For your lives in spite of your brave airs. 2. Throw all the stones you want. We still wouldn't be frightened. In fact, we would like to see if you can actually throw some. Do you think he'll be able to throw some stones if he's not in the same place he used to throw stones? What do you guys think? You don't think anything, right?
I think. Sorry. If there is a physical effects medium around, he would.
Denise?
Yes, I was going to say the same than Pablo. You have to have the right things, and you have to be allowed as well, because as they say, like, you have the protectors in the meeting that they will not let if it was not for purpose of doing that.
And then I'm going to give you some food for thought. Having a medium of physical effect in that place would be enough to allow this spirit to do it, even if he does have the approval. I won't answer. I'll allow you to study by yourselves and try to find this information. His answer, well, perhaps I couldn't right here. You have a guardian that watches so well over you. And then there's a lot of people that think, well, we have a guardian. No, you're surrounded by good thoughts, by good energy. Guys, there are spirits. And there are spirits who are there to protect. The responsibility in that event is to protect. Like on a spiritist center, do you all think that we only have spirits wearing a white garment, having birds, having doves on the hands all the time in the spirit center? Or do we have spirits who have specific jobs, if I may say like that, to ensure the security, the organization, the protection of the place? We need to understand how things can be different than what we think. And then we need to do some research, do some inquiries, and then perhaps our own point of view may change.
Sorry, Guilherme. Oh, sorry, Anna. Go, Anna.
Who's first, Tina?
Maybe. I just wanted to ask, so there could be the spirits who are protecting the ambience, the spirits house of the meetings, who are not the high level, but there could be the spirits who are maybe slightly lower level, but they are trying to be good and learning to be good, and their task is to protect the room, for example.
Mm-hmm. Very nice question. I in particular don't like to create a spiritist stereotype, high level, low level, medium level. They are spirits with different possibilities, with different activities to do. I don't believe they are low level. I don't believe they are medium level. I believe they have a different responsibility to keep the organization possible. We do have different type of expertise. Like in a hospital, we have different type of expertise to ensure that the hospital will be able to support everybody from the time it goes by the door, by the time he leaves, the person leaves. So there are different spirits responsible for different activities on the spirit center. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because I don't know, maybe it was stereotype in my head that there were like all very high level spirits and they all same or similar in or like on the level, let's say. But yeah, it seems like it makes total sense that they're all different.
Just to reinforce my own perception, let's assume that we all die now. Bang, we're gone. And someone start to refer to us as a low level that we are.
Mm-hmm.
My first opinion is this is lack of charity. 2,
Yeah.
maybe lack of understanding too, and I won't be very happy if somebody call me low order, right? Because we are human beings. I prefer to be called the high order, even knowing that I'm not. So I prefer not to create that kind of stereotype,
Yeah, I understand. So we're all at our own level, let's say.
Right.
And what I was thinking really is this. I think in Spirit's book they give this big chapter about the different development stages. I think there were like 10 development stages. So I was kind of referring to that, but no, anyway, I understand your answer. Thank you so much.
Why Kardec elaborate the order, the classification of spirits? To allow a group of people in the 1800s, very attached to the Catholicism, on all the rules, hell, heaven, to understand there are different degrees of knowledge on the spiritual world. Knowledge, responsibility, I think we went by few decades, and I think we can see things in a different perspective. Not saying he was wrong, not at all. I'm saying that nowadays we can see that with a different pair of eyes. I'm not against anyone that they protect or defend that classification, but I think we have to be more charitable than anything else. And sometimes when a spirit comes to a spirit center, if he's not what I want him to be, I may not allow him to be part of this. And this is what I call spiritist racism, where I'm only able to accept the white, tall, wearing white spirits are welcomed. And that's very small from us, if you think like that. A spiritist should work with the spirits, period. Doesn't matter what kind of inclination or origin he or she may have. We are there to help. If they come to our meeting, it's because the organization of this meeting felt and believe they can come and be helped. And that's our duty. Hi, Olivia.
Hi. Is this the same as I have heard? Is it the same as perfect and imperfect spirits? Are you referring to the same category?
Is another way of call them, yes. But right. Perfect spirits, there's only one. Imperfect, we all are. And look around ourselves, and we see that we are a very good example of imperfect spirits, right? And of course, those that are closer to the perfect spirit, they have a better understanding of life, of love, of charity than we have. We are too far away from that point.
Okay, thanks.
Is there someone in Oyer Street who has helped you with the evil tricks you are playing on the inhabitants of the house? Of course. I found a really good instrument, and there was no learned, wise and prudent spirit to stop me, because I am merry and sometimes I like to amuse myself. So he's referring to the person who is donate the fluid, sometimes I'm even unaware of it. Who has served as your instrument? A maid, She has helped you without knowing it. Oh yeah, poor girl. She got scared the most. Do you have some hostile purpose? Me? I don't have anything against anyone. But folks who felt they always have to meddle in everything will turn the matter to their own advantage. That's an interesting comment. What do you mean by that? We don't understand you. I'm just trying to have fun, but you will study the incident and you will have one more fact to prove that we exist. You see, look at the opportunity here. We have a bunch of people scared, a bunch of people that don't know what's going on, a bunch of people that will perhaps be intrigued and try to understand what is happening. And what is the result? Bringing at least questions. Questions that could be answered or could not be answered. But at least people start to investigate. People try to analyze what is happening. And we spiritists, we should take that as a rule. We should be analyzing things, asking ourselves and others, studying, trying to demystify things that we may do not understand or don't believe. Perhaps you will come to a conclusion that's nothing there. Or perhaps you come to a conclusion that you need to study a little bit more. Hi, Camila.
Hi. I would like to speak about the topic that we are speaking, right? About the spirits, right? Because in the way that I see is like, if you will die, right? Then for sure you take a good time to be in a position to do something. But we will want to help to work in the other side, right? So are we so elevated? For sure not. That it doesn't mean that we cannot help, right? That we cannot work, that you cannot involve and learn. So I believe that has many of us working to try to do something good, right? We don't need to be perfect to try to do something good.
Yeah, you're right. Totally right. And even being a low order that we are, we can do something good. We can always do something good. And it's by this practice, it's by this habit that will increase our knowledge, our morale, our understanding. Yep. You say you don't have any hostile purpose, but you have broken all the windows panes and have caused real damage. That's just a minor detail. Where did you find the objects you threw around? They were all over the place. I found them in the courtyard and the neighbor's gardens. Could be from anywhere, right? Did you find all of them, or did you make some of them? I didn't create anything or compose anything. If you hadn't found them, could you have made them? That would have been tricky, but we can mix materials and make something. A lot of people say that the spirit does everything by thoughts. I don't agree with that. I believe that if you're talking about a very evolved spirits, maybe. But spirits like us, we need more to keep the feet in the ground. You see, he can mix materials to make something. Material is matter on his own level, on a different degree, but it's matter. It's not thought. You cannot think about throwing a stone and the stone will appear from nowhere. Now, tell us how you threw them. Oh, that's hard for me to say. I looked for help in the electrical composition of that girl and mixed with mine, which is less material. So together we could carry those objects. And you see, he's referring to the electric material. Nowadays, we call that ectoplasm. With the understanding that we have nowadays, it's called ectoplasm. And then people mix ectoplasm, energy, fluids. It's all in the same bucket, right? It's a derivation of universal cosmic fluid. I think you will agree to give us some information about yourself. First, tell us if you died a long time ago. A long time ago, at least 50 years. What was your job? Nothing special. I was a rag picker in this neighborhood, and sometimes I got insulted because I really liked good Ole Noah's red liquor, wine. That's why I wanted then to clear out. Have you yourself and of your own free will answered our questions? I had an instructor. And who is this instructor? Your very kind King Louis. So basically, he was pushed to answer. He was brought to the meeting. He was evoked, brought. He answered because I won't mention there was a coercion, but he was convinced to answer. Otherwise, he would not come. We ask this question because of the nature of some of the responses, which appear to be beyond the capability of the spirit itself, both in the substance of the ideas expressed and in the form of the language. It is nothing extraordinary that he had been aided by a more enlightened spirit who wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to instruct us. This is a common occurrence, but a notable particularity in this case is that the other spirit's influence was made apparent in the handwriting itself, in the answers in which he, St. Louis, interfered. The handwriting was more regular and flowing, while in the answers of the rag picker, it was angular, rough, irregular, and often barely legible, revealing a very different character. It's interesting what he's mentioning here, because as an indoctrinator, we need to evaluate the content of the message. And I would extend that sentence, everyone should evaluate the content of the message. So the writing per se may say something to you if you pay sufficient attention to it, as Kardec did. When was the rag picker? He barely knew how to write. And when was St. Louis? That was a different thing. What do you do nowadays? Do you care about your future? Not yet. I just wonder about. I am remembered so little on the earth that no one prays for me. Since I don't have anyone to help me, I don't do anything. We will soon see how much may be contributed to the progress and relief of less evolved spirits through prayer and counsel. What do we do in our mediumship meetings? That's exactly what we do. We help them. Sometimes they are there, and we had opportunity to see before. They were there for quite some time. That's our duty. Hi, Ina.
I would like to play devil's advocate for a bit and ask this question. If the spirit is brought there almost against their will, and we have such a huge difference between spirit communication, so he's barely able to write, he doesn't want to show up, and someone else is pushing him to do that and communicates for him, can we accept this communication?
In that scenario, yes. In a scenario
For educational purposes.
Educational purposes, Kardec, before he evocate anyone, he always asked the benefactor if he could evocate the spirit. He was brought to bring light about a subject. So in that case, yes. In some scenarios that can be quite close to this one, we may have a spirit trying to do some tricking on the meeting or trying to mislead a group with some fake information. Like the differences is very thin, and only practice and study will allow you to identify those. We had recently one spirit who came to one of our meetings. He was saying good things, even using nice words, and we continued to converse. But there was something strange, but we continue. And he said, well, I had enough. I cannot carry on like that for too long, you know. So evaluating the content of the message. This is the key for our safety to do what we do well. And as we are not perfect, sometimes we make mistakes. Hi, Camila.
Then, another stage, I shared phenomena that happens with me, right? I was in the street, was like 6, 7 a.m. And I have this feeling, it's hard to explain, but it was like I was in the other side, but in this alive, right? Like if I was a spirit, if I was dead, that it was the strong feeling. And in my mind came, how that it can be possible? It's all the same. And the voice that sometimes I listen, that I believe that is my mentor, he's like, what do you think? Right? Call my attention. What do you think? Like, of course it's the same, right? It's like I was in the same place, but in a different state, like water and air. The water has many states, but it's still water, right? It's still me in another state. So I'm saying that because when we speak about the spiritual world, the way that I see is like it's the same thing. Indigenous in the same dimension of place, right? Because we have spirits here in Earth where we are in the same X, U, Z, right? The same thing, but we are just in a different state. So how these things like how you can believe in any person going in the street? You will go in the street and ask things for the person. You truly believe, right? In anyone. It's like it can be anyone, right? It can be someone that is more good, someone that can be bad, someone that has information others doesn't have, whatever, right? It's like us. It's us.
Mm-hmm. We have to be careful. We have to be careful when we ask someone on the streets or when we ask someone on a mediumship meeting, because, as you said, could be anyone, right? So I think you gave a good example. What was your name when you were alive? Janet. Very well then, Janet. We shall pray for you. Tell us whether this evocation was pleased or upset you. It has mostly pleased me because you're nice folk, joyful and lively, although you're a bit serious. Well, That doesn't matter. You listen to me and I'm content. Jenny. You have to remember that Kardec had no problem evoking spirits. No problem at all. We just had one example here. And if you do have to evoke any spirit for a particular reason, I don't see a problem. But to evoke a spirit just for evoke, then I'm not a very good fan for this. If you do have a particular need, a serious particular need, then I don't have a problem with that. But we have to take the safety precaution before we do so. What time is it?
Can you
Yes?
elaborate more in the safe precautions? Like, can you elaborate more what that exactly means?
If you're not used to work with the spirits, if you're not used to have serious, organized mediumship meetings, I would not play with that. I give an example. And I had that recently. Someone come close and, do you want me to play tarot cards for you? Do you understand what a tarot card is? How it works? Well, not really, just for fun. I said, well, that's no fun at all. When you play tarot cards, for example, you're doing a kind of unknown evocation because you're calling that spirit who like to do that to be closer to you. And you don't know if the spirit is serious, not serious, what can do, what cannot do, right? Another example, there are toys you can buy for kids, like a Ouija, or is a game of the glass, where the kids will sit around that glass and start to asking questions. Well, until 10 years ago, I could buy that in Paris. And I bought a Ouija in Paris that time. And if you don't know what you're playing with, if you just think that is a toy, you don't know what you're doing. You really shouldn't do it. And if you decide to start a meeting without having a serious purpose, and a serious purpose is helping spirits that are in need, suffering spirits, in my opinion. You may be playing with the spirits who are not there to help, that may be there to do exactly the opposite. There are people that play with the spirits for different reasons, financial reasons, personal reasons. Be careful, very careful, because serious spirits, they do not entertain that. So then you are exposing yourself to risks that you may not be even aware of it. Did I answer your question? Good. The phenomenon of apportation, 96. The phenomenon only differs from those we dealt with above because of the benevolent intention of the spirit who produces it. By the almost always pleasing nature of the objects, and by the gentle and often delicate manner by which they are carried. The phenomenon consists in the spontaneous bringing of objects that were not in the meeting place a few moments previously. They are usually flowers, but sometimes fruit, candy, jewelry, etc. I remember now, Charles, when you were telling us that flower there is with Pepino that was brought in the meeting. You know, the phenomena is the same, isn't it?
Can send a picture of it if you want.
Please do, so the team can see that. Yeah, because the phenomena, how it happens, the mechanism behind is the same, but the objectives are totally different. One is throwing you stones, the other one is bringing you flowers. We must point out, however, that this particular phenomenon is one of the most lended itself to being imitated, and it is therefore necessary to be forewarned against fraud. We know that the art of stage magic can produce experience of this type. However, even if we were not confronted with a professional, we could easily be fooled by a skillful and self-interest maneuver. The best of all guarantees is first, the character, the known honesty, and the absolute disinterestedness of the individuals who experiment with these effects. Second, a careful examination of all the circumstances in which the phenomenon occurs. And finally, an enlightened knowledge of Spiritism, the sole means of determining if there is anything suspicious about the phenomena. I think I spoke about that here many times. Nowadays, without deepfake, without AI, without things that everybody here can have access, we would not get the attention that Kardec had during his time. It's very difficult to know today what is real, what is not real. Any kid can do things that is hard to know if it's true or not true. And it's getting better day after day. Day after day. Today you can generate videos of Pablo speaking Japanese, and everybody will think that Pablo really speaks Japanese. Because it will be perfect. It will be perfect. You won't be able to know. So I think the time to have that type of phenomena is past. Because of today, like the example given, we will not be able to convince anyone about anything. So there's only one way I could see something like that happening today, is having a group, a gathering of very serious persons, meaning that no one could be pointed out as someone not serious after a scrutination, and having controls on the area, meaning close the area, doors, windows, basic control to prevent anything to be brought by one of those axes. But the main key would be who would be part of it. A Spirit's dissertation on apportation. The explanation concerning apportations and physical manifestations in general has been notably summarized in the following dissertation by a spirit whose communications bear the incontestable stamp of depth and logic. Many more of his explanations will appear over the course of this work. He has made himself known as Erastus, a disciple of St. Paul, and is the protector spirit of the medium who serves to interpret him. In order to experience phenomena of this order, it is indispensable to employ mediums who I shall call sensitive, that is, gifted to the highest degree with the mediumistic faculties of expansion and penetrability. The easily excitable nervous system of these mediums enables them, by means of certain vibrations, to profusely project the animalized fluid all around them. What is the animalized fluid? It's the ectoplasm. Impressionable natures, those individuals whose nerves vibrate add the least emotion, who respond to the lightest sensation that influences them mentally and physically, internally or externally, are the most capable of becoming excellent mediums for physical effects and tangibility and apportation. In fact, the nervous system, which is almost entirely deprived of the refractory envelope, which normally isolates the system in most incarnates, render them appropriate for the development of these phenomena. Thus, a subject of this nature, whose other faculties are not hostile towards mediumization, will more easily precipitate the phenomena of tangibility, wraps within walls and furniture, intelligent moving about, and even the suspension in air of any heavy inert matter. The same results will be obtained with greater certainty, or certainty if, instead of just one medium, there are several equally endowed mediums available. But from the production of such phenomena to the obtaining of apportation, there is a huge gap. For in the latter case, not only in the job of the spirit more complex and difficult, but it can only operate using a single mediumistic instrument, that is, several mediums cannot contribute simultaneously to the production of the same phenomena. I'm highlighting that because there is a very common question. Oh, if you are in a meeting, do we use more than one medium? As far as we know, and based on what we can read here, we have one medium donate the fluid for that particular phenomena. We have to remember, in the materialization case, when we donate fluids, the fluid will return to you. Let me give an example here. Me and Roger, we are donating fluids, and let's assume that our fluid can mix to perform that phenomena. When the phenomena is over, my God, I'm going to get part from Roger, Roger will get part from me. You know, how would that work? That would not. We understand that when we donate fluids to a materialization, the fluids return to the origin. So if we had more than one donating for that materialization, I think we have a problem. On the contrary, it may be even be that presence of certain persons who are antipathetic to the operating spirit will radically hinder its action. He's giving here an example during the materialization or apportation phenomena. But when we are in the mediumship meeting, those who have a little bit more sensitivity can perceive that all the members of that meeting are following the right path or going in the same direction or not. It's very easy to perceive that one of the links of the chain are broken. And sometimes we have even to stop the meeting to try to reorganize that. To these very important reasons, we will also add that apportation always requires the greatest concentration and at the same time, the greatest diffusion of certain fluids that can only be obtained from extremely well-gifted mediums. In a word, mediums whose electromediumistic instruments is well conditioned. Normally, apportation phenomena are and will continue to be exceedingly rare. I do not need to show why they are and will continue to be less frequent than the other phenomena of tangibility. From what I have already stated, you yourselves can infer why. Moreover, these phenomena are of such a nature that not all mediums can produce them. Not all spirits can induce them. In fact, between the spirits and the medium, a certain affinity, a certain analogy, in a word, a certain similarity must exist that enables the expansive part of the perispiritual fluid of the medium to mix unite and combine with that of the spirit who desires to perform an apportation. This fusion must occur in such a way that the resultant force becomes, so to speak, one, that is, in the same way that an electric current acting upon a charcoal produces a single fox of light. Yes, Denise?
So I'm just a bit confused. So the previous one, when someone throws a stone, he still had to pick up the stone from somewhere to throw it. It's easier to do because the woman was donated without even knowing about it. So this one seems that's very rare and very difficult. But it's not kind of the same because won't he be transporting the flower from one place to there, to the meeting?
The difference is when you're throwing stones, I'm getting stones nearby, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm bringing something from far away, could be from the other side of the planet.
Okay.
We have, when was that? Well, with Peixotinho, one of the strongest physical effect medium we had in our country. In one meeting, they brought a flower, and no one could identify that flower. Later on, they found from where the flower came from. The flower was brought from Asia. Totally different type of flower. So imagine the demand to bring that from that distance to a meeting that was held in my hometown, for example. You see, that's one example. That's one example. So the phenomena behind may not be that different, but the peculiarities of the phenomena, they are. For example, there are also registers of spiritual surgeries where the spirit would remove part of the tissue, the sick tissue of the person. This tissue was taken to the lab, proven to be a human tissue from the heart. The phenomena behind is the same, but the purpose, the application, is at a different degree.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, it is our time. So I'm very happy to say that Pablo is here, and I'll pass that to him.
Just to make it clear, I don't speak Japanese. All right, my friends, let's close our eyes. And let's be thankful because we were given the opportunity to be here today, to share the knowledge, to clear our doubts, and to a certain extent, to believe without seeing. So let's be thankful that we in our hearts, through our studies, our individual experiences, we can believe without seeing. We can think and have faith because we are sure of it. Master Jesus, bless us, please, with a peaceful and restoring Saturday. So be it.
So be it.
So be it then. So looking forward to see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.